How's everybody doing today? I certainly hope you're doing well. First thing I want to start out with is for the people that do not know, Richie from Boston's original channel or primary channel did go down. So I'm going to leave a link to his new channel. And if you don't know and you were subscribed to him before, you can always resubscribe to his new channel, okay? So I wanted to get that out of the way right now. We're going to do another story time, and I like to let people know whether or not it's a true story. It is not a true story. It is a story that was created. The name of the story is called Shadow Dancers. So let's go ahead and begin. There was a woman by the name of Sky, and she worked for the Washington Post. Of course, she lived in the state of Washington. And she was kind of like new at her job, at that particular, job for writing for the Washington Post. She was not the type of person to get on camera, but let me tell you something right now. She was gorgeous. Absolute beautiful woman. Certainly a 10, and if she did certain things, she'd be an 11. You know what I mean? And in the cubicle, kind of catty corner from her, was yet another very attractive woman. Her name was Carrie. And Carrie was kind of showing her the ropes and how to get along through the company and the different programs, and who the senior editor is, and there's so many different people in the company that she's got to go through in channels to be able to clear any certain story that she wants to have published. Well, they have been very, very good friends, and both of them are single. So several months later, Carrie had asked Sky if she would like to go out dancing at a local club. And of course, who's going to turn that down? But Carrie also told Sky that, well, you need to go on Fridays, because Fridays is the day where all the really good dancers come out. Not Saturday, not Sunday, not Monday, always Friday. And the cover charge is minimal, $4 or $5. So Carrie says that she'll treat and she'll pay for the cover charge just so that they can have a good time. So they go out Friday, have a great time, Before you know it, so many people are asking them to dance, both of them, that the very next time that they went out dancing, they'd make these little bets. They'd bet them, Carrie would bet Sky $1 that, okay, somebody's going to ask me first, and no. Sky would say, no, they'll be asking me first. Yeah, I'll bet you $1. So they had this little game going on. Well, about 8 months into working for the Washington Post, she's gotten acclimated, and she's working out pretty well. And she's starting to write stories that are getting noticed by the upper echelon of the Washington Post. And here it was, about a Thursday morning, and Sky started getting sniffly, she congested, and she started getting cold. You know how it feels, right? You can hardly talk, and your voice changes, and you're sneezing profusely. You know how it is, right? So the following Friday, she can't go dancing, and I'll tell you something right now, Sky loves to dance, and so does Carrie. So she was feeling so bad that she went to call in sick, and her boss, Jack, who is one of the senior editors, told her, something, I tell you what, why don't you just take 3 or 4 days, hell with it, just take a week off, and you can do remote employment, because we don't need other people getting sick because of you, and not to be disrespectful, that's probably the best way to handle this. Well, Sky agreed. So Friday comes along, and she's getting worse. Oh, she's just sneezing and runny nose and congestion, and her throat hurts. She can barely talk. I mean, it's just horrible. And she is so sick come mid the next week. So she doesn't start feeling good until probably around Thursday night, maybe early Friday morning. And Carrie calls her up in the afternoon on Friday and says, hey, how are you feeling now? She goes, well, feeling better, and I feel like I probably could go dancing, but because I was so sick, I need to get so much done, and I did a lot of resting, and I'm just going to have to pass. We'll do it the following Friday. Carrie's like, yeah, okay, all right. So, Sky is feeling kind of, sorry for herself, that sort of thing, because she really did want to go dancing, but she had so much to do, So, Sunday afternoon, about 1 o'clock, Carrie gives her a call and says, Sky, I know Fridays all the good dancers go out there, but what do you say we go dancing tonight? I know it's Saturday and all the good dancers are not going to be there, but you really need to get out. Come on, it's been 2 Fridays you weren't able to go dancing. Well, let's go dancing. My treat. So Sky is kind of pondering, well, I really... And Carrie's like, come on, stop feeling sorry for yourself. Get dolled up, we're going out. And I'm telling you, I'll come and pick you up. So all you got to do is get dressed and let's go. She's like, well, okay. So about 7:30 at night on a Saturday, Carrie goes to pick her up. She gets in Carrie's car. They go to the club. And they make their little usual bet. And of course, all the really good dancers aren't there, and they know this. But hey, they're out to have a good time. So they bet the dollar of who's going to be asked to dance first. Well, Carrie won because somebody asked her first. And so Carrie's kind of looking at Sky going, you owe me $1. So when Sky turned to grab her drink, to take a sip of her drink, there's a man standing right there at the table. And he's a good-looking man, too. Oh, man, goodness. He's not muscular, but he's toned, right? He's got a real short haircut, almost like he's in the military. He's got beautiful light green eyes, kind of like mine. Good-looking man. And he says, would you like to dance? I'll tell you what, it's like love at first sight. She's like, yes. So they get up and they start dancing. Let me tell you something. This guy is tearing up the floor with her. And he's leading her. You know what I mean, ladies, right? This guy really does know how to dance. And she is shocked. She can't even believe it. So after the song is over, it goes to another song. And he's like, you want to continue? She's like, yes. So they're tearing up the floor. And it goes to a third song. Now it's a slow dance. They continue on. So after the slow dance is all done, she is still in shock that this guy can dance that well. And she had fun. So as they're walking back to the table, she's kind of like got his hand in her hand. And he goes to walk away and she's like, oh, no, you don't. And pulls the man to the table, tells him to park his ass down there, right? Which he does, because she is just gorgeous. So they sit down at the table, and she goes, I am shocked that you can dance that well. Oh my God. And I can't believe it. I've never seen you here before. And he's like, well, I haven't been here in years. She goes, well, why is that? He goes, well, I'm in the military. And I'm in the Marines, and I've been stationed in Afghanistan for quite some time, for years and years. She goes, really? She goes, well, what's your name? He goes, my name's Skylar. She goes, no. Oh, that's a fake name. That's a name that you give when you go to the club, right? No, he stood up, pulls out his wallet. He goes, there you go. Sure enough, his name is Skylar. He goes, well, what's your name? She goes, well, you ain't gonna believe it. My name's Sky. He's like, yeah, sure it is. She pulls out her wallet out of her purse, shows her ID. Sure enough, her name is Sky. So here you have Sky and Skylar. And both of them are good-looking people. And both of them can dance. But I tell you what, Sky's love at first sight, that sort of thing. So they talk and they hoo-hoo and ha-ha and have a good old time, and another song comes up, they get out there and dance again. And they're dancing so well that the DJ, he kind of takes notice and politely asks everybody to just clear the dance floor so they can get out there and do their thing. I tell you what, they are tearing it up, right? It's just something else. So they go back to the table and they start talking about what they do for a living. And Skylar asks Sky, well, what do you do for a living? She goes, well, I'm a writer for the Washington Post. He goes, wow, that's pretty prestigious. I don't know if I can compete with that. I'm still in the military, and I won't be out of the military for another 8 months. She goes, well, what brings you to the nightclub tonight? He goes, well, I'm here on leave. I'm visiting my folks. And, to be here, I don't know, about 2 weeks, maybe a little less. She goes, oh, right on. So why didn't you come to the club on Friday? Because that's when all the good dancers are here. He goes, well, to be quite honest, when I flew in on Thursday, I wasn't feeling so good because all the jet lag and that. I needed a day to rest. I mean, truly. She's thinking to herself, well, hell, she didn't come in on Friday because she's kind of getting... It's just, man, this is like a match made in heaven now, isn't it? His name's Skylar, her name is Sky. They're both good dancers. They both didn't go to the club on Friday because they both weren't feeling well. They both weren't feeling themselves. They both live in the same town. I mean, damn, this is a match made in heaven, isn't it? So they get to talking a little bit more about their personal situations, and Skylar says to her, you know something? Well, tomorrow's Sunday, as you know. He goes, my family, we do this Sunday brunch after church. How about if you come along? Everything's already paid for because my dad, he was in the Marines too, and he was like a big old hot dog. He was like a colonel or something. And he knows all these people, and they just kind of comp it to him because they're old pals. She goes, well, I don't know. I kind of like... He's like, come on. She's like, okay. He goes, I tell you what, if you'd like, I can come pick you up. Or if you would feel better about it, you can meet us at the and she's like, no, you can pick me up. Just that quick, right? So they exchange telephone numbers. She gives him her address. She goes home that night. She's talking to Carrie. Oh, you saw him. Boy, that guy can dance, can he? She's like, yeah. And Carrie's a little bit jealous, you know what I mean? Because she saw Sky and Skylar tearing up the dance floor there. She's a little bit jealous about that, but you know how it is, right? She'll get over it. So when Sky goes home, all she can think about is this young man that she met at the club. Even though he's in the military, does it really matter? No, it really doesn't matter, right? She had a good time, and hell, she's going to go to brunch tomorrow. Lays her head down, she goes to sleep, she sleeps real good. Wakes up, phone rings, about 10 o'clock in the morning, Skylar on the other end. He goes, listen, what time you want me to pick you up? She's like, well, what time's brunch? It's usually about 12:30, 1 o'clock. You guys, why don't you be here about 11:30, maybe 11:45. He gets in his vehicle, he drives over there, picks her up. They go to the place where they're going to have brunch, and his whole family's there. His mom's there, his dad's there, his sister's there, a couple little cousins and uncles and all that stuff. It's a big old shindig. And he's just happy as hell to introduce Sky to his family because she is drop dead gorgeous. Oh my goodness. Long hair. She's not like real skinny. But let me tell you something, she's voluptuous. That's the best woman in the world, didn't it? Have a little curve to him, right? I mean, they had such a curve to him. And I'm telling you, I can see her right now. She is just gorgeous. She's thick, but she's gorgeous. Voluptuous, right? And they're mingling amongst themselves. And his father, he's real proud of his son. Because, whoever this woman is, he's kind of hoping something works out, if you get my meaning. So they have a good brunch and such, and you know, they're about ready to say their goodbyes, and then Skylar says, you know something, I tell you what, why don't we go for a drive? What do you say about that? Would that be alright? She's like, okay. They're driving, they're talking about all kinds of stuff, their childhoods and how they grew up and who they were raised, and Sky was telling Skylar that, well, you know, I only got my dad because her mother passed away, you know, years back. But her dad is her pride and joy, and vice versa, because she's the only child, right? Whereas Skylar, he's got a sister, and he's got a bunch of cousins and all that stuff. He's got a big old family. So she's like, well, Monday I got to go to work, so I can't be out so late, and, you know, I got a lot of stuff to do. He goes, well, maybe I can see you after work tomorrow. What, you think that'd be all right? She's like, yes. So they are seeing each other. They are calling each other every single day. They are calling each other and texting each other numerous times. Hell, by the time it gets to the end of the week. Come Friday, where are they at? They're at the nightclub. They're dancing, man. Oh, they're such good dancers. Saturday rolls around. They're at the nightclub again. Right? Sunday, they go back to brunch with his big old family. And they're happy to have her. They sure are. And he lets her know that on Tuesday now, he's got to go back to Afghanistan. He has to. Because those are his orders. And there's no way out of it. So he kind of alerts her that after Sunday, he's not going to be able to meet with her on Monday because he's got to pack and he's got to get ready and he's got to get psychologically ready because he's got another 8 months to serve in the service. And he lets Sky know that, you know something, I'm not going to re-enlist. I'm going to get out. And I'm getting out, for sure. She's like, oh, okay. So, it was Sunday early evening about 6 o'clock. They go their separate ways. And then about 7:30, she calls up Skylar. She goes, Skylar, I was wondering, I know you got to go. I know you got to go Tuesday. And I know this, and you made it very clear, and I appreciate it. But can we dance one more time on Monday, please? Nobody's going to be there. I mean, it's like the bingo crowd. What do you say? It's like, well, I really shouldn't because there's no way I can miss that bird. That's what they call airplanes in the military, is birds, right? Because I got to be on that bird early Tuesday morning, and I cannot be late. She's like, we won't be late. We won't be late. Goes, all right. So, later that night, she gets a call from her father. Now, you see, Sky's father, he works in the government. He sure does. And he works in, like, a GS position. He's not in the military, but he works for the government. And he gets paid by the United States government. But here's the thing. You see, Sky, and especially her father, they're not of the United States. No, they were immigrants, or her father was, rather, right? And he works for, you know, like top secret areas of the United States government. And he has for some time. And his name is Tomsk. But he spells it in such a bizarre way. It's T-H-O-M-S-K. But everybody calls him Tom, right? So she gets a call from her father, who is Tomsk. And, you know, they're having a little chatty deal, and she's like, oh, I met this guy, and he was in the military, he's so good looking, and he can dance, and he's so kind, he's not making moves on me, I mean, he respects me and talks to me, and, oh, it's just something else, and I'd really like you to meet him, but he's got to go back to the military on Tuesday, but we're going to go dancing on Monday, and let me tell you something, Tom's can hear just the way his daughter is speaking to him that she is so excited, and he hasn't heard his daughter be so excited in all his life. I mean, it's just something different, almost like she's in love. You know how it is, right? She's like, oh, I really would like you to meet him. And Tom lets her know. He says, you know something? As much as I'd like to meet him, I'm sure he's a great guy, but I got to go out of town Monday night. She's like, well, what time Monday night? He's like, I don't know, maybe 11 o'clock or something like that. I got to get on a plane and fly out to Atlanta. She's like, well, we're going to be at the club at 8. Can you meet us there? He goes, baby, I can't, okay, because, you know, I got to get ready, and you know how it is. Well, it's been that way all over life. He goes in and out of town at a moment's notice. You never know what it, and he can't tell her what he does for a living. All she knows is he works for the government. That's it, right? Because it's all secret, top secret, and all that nonsense, right? So Monday rolls around. Skylar picks her up, and both Skylar and Sky go out to the nightclub. And when they get there, it's kind of bizarre, because usually it's like the bingo crowd and there's hardly anybody there. There's a lot of people there. And it's not your normal set of people. It's like guys in suits. Kind of looks like a sausage party. Where's the women? Where's the couples? Just like a bunch of strange dudes. It's kind of weird, you know? So they get up there and they're dancing. They just don't mind it. They're just doing their own thing. They're just having a hell of a time. Come by 10 o'clock, Skylar says, listen, as much as I'd like to stay here all night long and just, I can't. I gotta be on that bird tomorrow morning. I have to go home. I have to pack, prepare, and all that stuff. And you know what? It was great meeting you. You're a wonderful woman. I don't expect that you'd probably wait for me, because 8 months is a long time. And Sky is like, oh no, I'm gonna wait. You bet your ass I am. So they already have each other's numbers. He goes, listen, I'm going to have to give you an address, because my line of work, I do escorts. I do military escorts for guys. So sometimes I'm out in the field for weeks, and I'm not going to be able to call you. I'm not going to be able to text you. I'm not going to be able to write you. If you write me a letter, I'm not going to get it for who knows how long. So I'm just telling you the facts now. So don't get upset if you don't hear from me, or I don't, you know, call you, or I don't write you or anything. It's not like that. It's my job is very, you know, it's very difficult, and it's very stressful, and it's very dangerous. It's like, no, I understand it, and I am going to wait for you, right? So early Tuesday morning, he makes it. He's right on time, because he has to be. He flies back to Afghanistan. I tell you what, these two people, like putty in the hand, they're constantly talking to each other on the phone. I mean, when he can, because he's only allocated a certain amount of time on certain days to where they can have these telephone conversations, right? She's writing letters, and there's some sort of constant communication. Even though it's broken up every week or 2 weeks, it's constant. So in one of the telephone calls, he alerts her and he says, listen, I'm going to be away probably for 3 weeks, because we got to go up in the mountains, and it's a very important escort, armed military escort. There's a lot of people involved. I can't get into it because it's actually secret. I can't get into it. She goes, no, I understand. I totally understand, and I'll be waiting. I'll be waiting to hear from you. Hell, this is about late November when this happens, right? This month. Yeah, this month. But it's late November. So, Monty hadn't been drinking, I promise. I'm stumbling on my words. So, a couple of weeks go by, about 2 weeks are into the game. And hell, we're into December, of course. Christmas is just right around the corner. It sure is. She's kind of hoping that she'll be able to hear from Skylar. She's looking so forward to this phone call. She's thinking about him every day. She's got pictures of him and her when they were dancing, and But a picture's just not the same. It's not like you can't touch the person through a picture, right? Here it is, December 23rd. She's kind of shaking her head. No phone calls are coming in. No letters are coming in. She's hoping that he's okay. She really misses him because I tell you what, all of those days on the dance floor, all those nights at the nightclub, where they were the focal point in front of all these people having the best times of their lives, and those drives and the buffets and all those private conversations. She's really starting to miss him. Yep. 5 o'clock on December 23rd. That's this year. She gets a call from Tomsk, her father. He says, Sky, I just want to tell you something. You are going to get, seeing that I'm out of town, you are going to get a special delivery by UPS. You have to be home at 1 o'clock. Don't be late. She's like, oh, Dad, you didn't have... He goes, listen, it's very important that you receive this package. It's one of a kind. You'll never see anything like it. You have to be there. Promise me you'll be there. Oh, yeah, Dad, I promise I'll be there. Okay, be there. Because you got to sign for it and all that. Okay. See, her dad got her a gift. Of course. All fathers get their daughters gifts, don't they? Vice versa. So the very next day, it's Christmas Eve, but it's Christmas Eve day. 1 o'clock. She's at her apartment. She's waiting, boy. She's waiting for the buzzer to ring. And I tell you what, it's like on the nose. Hello? She's got one of them security deals where you got to punch people in and that. Go to the speaker. Hello? UPS got a special delivery. She's like, okay, I'll be right down. So she opens the door so I can go into like the entrance part of where she lives. But the really good part about this, there's a security guard at a desk also. So it's not like you just let somebody in, that's it. No, they got security there. They got, you know what I mean? The cameras, the whole 9 yards. So she goes down, she gets the elevator, she comes downstairs, and she walks out there, and UPS has got a delivery, all right. He's got a dolly out. This thing is, it's large. It's a big box. It's like maybe about this wide. I don't know if you see that, right? And it's tall. It's about like this. It's like the size of one of those old stereo speakers. And it's heavy because he's got a dolly. I mean, he's kind of trying to maneuver it. He goes, ma'am, where do you want this? She goes, well, that looks pretty heavy. He goes, yeah, it's damn heavy. It probably weighs 60 to 80 pounds. I don't know what it weighs, but it's a lot. She's like, well, can you bring it up for me? He goes, sure. A security guard says, I'll go with you. Isn't that nice of him? Sure is nice. He's kind of like Monty, you know. Real nice fella. So that security guard goes up with UPS and goes up with her to her apartment. And her apartment is situated in such a way it's kind of really long. It's not just a big square. It's kind of like long, her apartment. It's got the kitchen, bathrooms, hallways, a couple of little bedrooms, living room, little dining area. A lot of places don't have the dining area now. They kind of incorporate all into one thing, right? So she's got a really nice apartment. After all, she does work for the Washington Post. So they open the door there, and she's thinking, where to put this? She goes, you know what? Don't put it in the center of the living room. I know there's not much room here, but just set it right there. And where he set it was right on the edge of where the dining area is that bleeds into the living room. So it's kind of like right there. So she's not going to bump into it, but it's not against the wall in case she needs to pivot it or something to get it out of the way, right? So she can unpackage it. So she goes to give him a tip and all, Mr. UPS, for bringing up that big old box, and she thanks the security guard, you know. So they leave. She's thinking, what the hell did my dad do now? He bought me a big old gift. The damn thing weighs 60 to 80 pounds according to UPS. the hell could that be? So she goes into the kitchen, she gets this little bitty knife, she starts cutting it there. It's a big old box, man. And it's taped up good. She starts cutting down the side. She opens it up. She looks in, there's a bunch of bubble wrap in there, a little foam, you know, the little foam things, right? She's like, what is that? And then she takes that knife, she's cutting down the edges of the box because she can't pick it up out of the box. Because I tell you what, Sky, she's a beautiful woman. She's a little thick. She's not strong, right? Not like a man. So she just cuts this off, and she kind of like peels that box open like a banana. You know how it is, right? She's looking at this thing. Big old black box. That's it. Just black box. And on the side is taped a letter. A handwritten letter from Tomsk, her dad. She's reading that letter and it says, I'm sorry I couldn't make it with Christmas with you, but of course, you know, duty calls. But I just want to let you know how much I love you. And to know your daughter is to know the future. See back. She's like, oh, that's so sweet, right? She turns it over on the back. Instructions. Instructions? What's his instructions for the box? He says, make sure the box is at least 20 feet away from the wall. She doesn't have a tape measure, so she just gets there and she kind of steps it off. She's like, well, it's 19, that's close enough. He says, be sure to turn off all of the lights in the entire house except for the bathroom light. Flicking off all the lights, she turns on the bathroom lights, so there's just a little bit of light, just a tiny bit. Just enough where she can see everywhere in her house, you know what I mean? But just barely. Kind of like a night light, but the bathroom light there, right? Secure an extension cord. She's got an extension cord, she kind of has to, because when you're working for the Washington Post, you got all kinds of things. You got to have the shredders, you got to have the copiers and printers and scanners, so she's got one of those. She plugs in the extension cord into the kitchen there. She's drooping all of them. She's got it on the floor. He's like, lift the shelf to the bottom. There's a little shelf there. She lifts it up, and there's a little place for a plug. Plug it in. Now push on the green button dead center. Wait 30 seconds. Sit on the couch and wait. She got all that, and she's got the little shelf up there, and she pushes the button, a little light comes on. She races over there to the couch and she sits down. She's waiting. Nothing's happening. 30 seconds. She's like, damn, did I do everything right? She's looking at this, and all of a sudden, a life-size hologram of both her and Skylar projects right in the middle of the room, and it's life-size. And it's of them dancing with the same music that was playing the last time they went dancing. And Sky is out of her mind, because she'd been waiting for Skylar all this time to call her on the phone, because he's out in the field, and hell, it's almost Christmas now. It's Christmas Eve. And who's in her living room? Well, she is. And she's in there again. But who else is there? It's her and Skylar. And they're dancing with a life-size hologram. And she get a little tear in her eye. She can't believe it. She stands up and she's trying to touch him. She can't touch him because she's going through the hologram. But it doesn't matter, because it's damn close. She can see him moving, and she's just laughing and smiling and crying all at the same time. And then she gets to thinking, how is this possible? How is this possible? How did he do this? She's talking about her dad, Tom's. And how in the hell did he do it? Because, you see, he had to go to Atlanta. So how the hell did he do it? Well, He didn't do it. All those guys that were at the nightclub that night in those suits, they did it. So somehow, some way, they had cameras set up in that club before they got there, so all of this could be arranged for her Christmas present. Oh, I tell you, is that a dad or what? That's a dad right there. That's the darndest thing. After so many songs go and the projections of the hologram and the life size of them dancing on the floor, she just choked up, boy. Tears just are rolling off her face. Oh my goodness. But it's tears of joy. She gets that cell phone, she puts a call directly into her father Tomsk, and she just a snivel. She's like putty in the hand. She just a sniveling, just a cry. Oh, Dad, this is the best damn present in all the world. Yeah. Oh, it's something special, isn't it? He goes, yeah, I know, baby. He says to her, you know, a picture's just not the same, is it? But I tell you what, that life-size hologram of you and him dancing, that's pretty damn close. Baby, Merry Christmas. And I tell you what, she's just, oh goodness, she's out of her mind with joy. So Christmas Day comes and goes. No call from Skylar. None. 26th of December, 2017. No call from Skylar. She's starting to get a little worried, right? But she's not too worried because it's kind of happened before, right? He goes out for a couple of weeks and that because he's got to be an armed escort. That's an important job right there, and a lot of things could happen. She just wants him to be safe, that's all. To hell, it's almost New Year's Eve. Nothing. No call, no letter, no text, no picture, nothing. Air. So, New Year's Eve, guess who's going to be in town? Well, it's not going to be Skylar, but Tomsk is going to be home. Her dad. She picks him up at the airport. She just gives him the biggest hug because she didn't forget that Christmas present. That's one of a kind. I mean, who has one of those? Really, truly. She gives him just the biggest hug. Then she drives him back to his house. But you see, Tomsk, he lives not in a really big house, not like a mansion or anything, but it's a nice house, and it's up in the mountains. It's like one of these kind of houses that has 3 fireplaces, one in the basement, one in the living room, and then one in your bedroom. You know, that kind of place, right? It's a big size house, but it's not a mansion. And it's a middle of nowhere, right? In Washington State. So, they go back to his house there, and her father, they're all having a talk and a chat, and she's like thanking him again for the hologram, and she just thought that was the coolest damn gift in the world. She goes, Dad, I know that you work for the government, and you've never told me what you do exactly. Come on, why can't you just tell me? Can you give me a hint or something? He goes, listen. As much as I love you, and as much as I know that you're my daughter, and I know that it's going to be a new year here just within an hour or so, New Year's Eve and all, I can't do it. I'm sworn to secrecy, okay? I gotta uphold my oath. I have to, okay? She's like, yeah. So they have a great New Year's Eve celebration. Just then. So she nestles down for the night. It's January 2nd. She decides to leave out of there because she spends the whole day with him on the New Year's Day. Then on the 2nd, she goes back home. She races in. She's checking her mail to see if there's any letter from Skylar. There is not. She's waiting for a call, any sort of communication. Nothing. So, around the 4th of January, she gets a call from the senior editor at Washington Post. And they're like, Sky, we have a special project that we want you to work on. She's like, okay. He goes, we need you to come on down to the office, because there's some special instructions. You need to sign a non-disclosure agreement and some other documents. She's thinking, wow, that must be some story, right? Here she is, a reporter, but she's got to sign non-disclosure. What's that all about, right? She races down there. She gets all dolled up. She goes to the conference room there, and Jack's there, and some other guys she'd never seen before. And Jack says, Sky, this gentleman here is Mr. Russell, and Mr. Russell here has some papers for you. He's got a non-disclosure agreement, and essentially you need to be sworn into secrecy for the most part. But we need you to investigate the comptroller of the United States government. She's like, what? He goes, yeah, it's a pretty big deal. And the reason why you need to sign the non-disclosure agreements is because through your research, you're not going to be able to talk to anyone about it. You can't talk to a colleague, you can't talk to a family member, you can't talk to anyone. Whatever you find, you need to bring it back to the table when you're ready. Okay? Okay. She starts signing these documents and all that stuff. It's kind of confusing. It's kind of strange why they picked her. I mean, Carrie's capable of all this stuff, right? No. So she goes back and she starts looking at certain things online. She's taking her little notes. She's calling up people, but she's not talking about specifically what she's investigating. She's just asking questions of the notes that she got from Jack, the senior editor at the Washington Post. So she is investigating financial transactions that are going down between the United States government and the finance part of the government. Then she gets a weird phone call. She doesn't recognize the phone call. She thought maybe it'd be Skyler. She picked it up right away, thinking, well, maybe he's stateside or who knows what. It's a Washington number, but it's not in her regular area. Hello? And there's a man on the other side. She doesn't even know who this clown is. He goes, yeah, I have a ledger I want to give to you, and we understand you're doing this investigation. She's thinking, well, how would he understand she's doing an investigation when she hadn't told anybody? Hey, she did have some government spook in there, giving her a bunch of documents. Maybe he said something. Maybe Jack said something. He goes, I have this ledger. I'd like to meet you at a park somewhere and, give you this ledger. It's pretty important. Okay. So she's a little apprehensive. She goes down. She asks the security guard where she lives if it'd be all right if he would give her his phone number in case something weird happened. She also told the security guard exactly where she would be. So if something weird happened, he would know in case something went horribly wrong. She got his number as well. So she goes down to the park there, she's kind of waiting there, she's looking at her time, and this guy is late. She doesn't like people that are late, right? So she's getting ready to turn around, and this guy says, excuse me, ma'am, here's the ledger I promised you. Gives it to her in her hand and walks away. She starts flicking through the ledger, because, in case there's something weird, she didn't want to like a tick in the ledger, if you know what I mean. Because you're talking about the government, right? Especially finances, big money. We're not talking like thousands or millions. We're talking big money, right? So she gets this ledger, she just kind of slowly goes through it a little bit as she's walking down. She goes back to her car. She goes back to her apartment there. Security guard says, is everything okay? She's like, oh yeah, it's okay. Maybe I overreacted, I apologize. She goes up to her room, her apartment there. She cracks open this ledger, and she starts seeing all the pages and all this money that's being spent, and it's in the billions, man. It's crazy. And she's trying to figure out, well, for what? $19,685,922.32. Well, what's this for? Rockets. Okay. And then it's like machine guns. It's arms, that's what it is. It's an arms sales ledger. 562 of these equate to $6,922.31. Rockets, 926 equates to, and all this stuff. And at the back of the ledger, then it lists a bunch of agents. And guess who's on the back page of that ledger? If you guessed her dad, Tomsk, you would be right. And she knew it was him, because nobody spells Tom Thomsk. Nobody. And their last name is this long. So there's no way in hell it would be anybody else. He's an arms dealer. And he always has been. So Tomsk, even though he came from the Baltics and had an only child, which is Sky, her mother is no longer with him anymore. And now she's starting to have questions about that. Maybe that's how my mother died, is because some kind of crazy thing was going on. I mean, who knows? She's having all kinds of freaked out stuff, right? All kinds of freaky thoughts. Her dad's out of town. He's going to be out of town for another day or two. She's looking at this ledger real close now. She's writing all this stuff down. She's got all her notes. She cannot believe her dad is in this ledger. She can't believe it. I mean, it's a jaw dropper. Oh my God. But she was sworn to secrecy. She signed a non-disclosure agreement. She was told by this other guy that she can't talk to her family, her friends, her colleagues, nobody. She's going to have to break the rules, because after all, that is her father. And she knows that her father gave her a great Christmas gift, but this is important. This is so important. She's got to talk to him, right? A couple of days later, he flies in. He's out at his cabin there, up in the hills. She puts a call in and says, Dad, I need to talk to you. It's really, really important. He's like, all right, come on up. She drives up there, and she got that ledger in her hand, boy. She walks in, she's all angry and kind of like catty in that. They go to, embrace like they always do. Oh, hi, honey. No, none of that. She just stomps right in. She slams this on the coffee table. She goes, what the hell is this? He's dumbfounded because he doesn't know. He goes, I don't know. What is it? He gets a little choppy in his attitude. She goes, why is it that you're in this ledger and billions of dollars are being exchanged with all these countries and the United States government, and it's like machine guns and missiles and rockets and all this stuff? Why didn't you tell me? He looked at her and said, well, first of all, I couldn't tell you because I'm under oath. I have a top secret clearance, above top secret even, in a lot of cases. It's under a need-to-know basis, and where in the hell did you get this ledger? She says, well, an informant gave it to me at the park. He called me up just out of the blue, like I don't even know how he got my number. So her dad says, listen, baby, listen. If it wasn't me doing it, it'd be somebody else. You were raised well, you got a good education. You're my daughter. Regardless of what I do and regardless of what you do, you're still my daughter, and I love you very much. So if this is going to destroy our relationship, I don't know what to tell you. I have to do what I have to do because I took an oath into this country, the United States of America. Whether or not I was born here or not is irrelevant. I am an American. And what I'm doing actually protects America. He kind of put her in her place, didn't he? She's kind of like pacing a little bit, back and forth, trying to be an adult, which he's right. He is right. If it wasn't him, it would be somebody else. And chances are it wouldn't be somebody as cool as he is, right? She's like, well, I'm sorry I acted the way I did. I shouldn't have slammed this down. I shouldn't have, looked at you and tried to condescend on what you do for a living, because you are right. I had a great childhood. And you did raise me good, and I got a great education. I got a good job, and I'm sorry, Dad. They both hug each other and so on and so forth. They sit down, and Tom lights up a big old cigar because now he's in good standing with his daughter. He doesn't want to be in bad standing. I mean, who would want to be in bad standing? Or vice versa. So he's smoking his cigar there. They're having a little talk. She goes, you know something, when I was looking at the ledger, I was doing an audit of the United Nations resolutions in association with the other countries at the exact same time in years and months, and I noticed that there would be United Nations resolutions for arms embargoes against these other companies. So how in the hell would it be possible for you and the United States to turn around and sell the opposing country that the United Nations just said that there was a arms embargo against? Arms? How's it possible, Dad? And he's not supposed to be talking about this because he's under oath, see? He's given his word. He won't talk to anybody about this stuff. But she already knows, obviously, right? And she's not supposed to be talking about it either, because she signed all those documents. So they're both in a pickle. They're both in trouble. Right now, they're in trouble. He goes, baby, let me tell you some reality. He goes, the way it works is this. When the United Nations places an arms embargo against a company, all of these countries get together and they all agree that they won't sell, whether it be arms or oil or cheese or pick something, socks, pick something. And all these countries agree that they won't sell to that country, to essentially starve the country out, so that way the country will agree to our ideology. He goes, but the reason why that happens all the time is because the United States and other countries have more power, more voting power over the other countries. And the only reason why that happens is because all of these deals are made behind closed doors to eliminate the competition. She goes, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. He goes, this is why in the ledger you will see that months from January to March are kind of stagnant. And then the embargo is put into place where all the countries agree they're not going to sell any arms to that country, and you'll see a monstrous spike in the arms sales. This is why. Because the United States essentially has eliminated all of the competition. They're not laughing. Not at all. So, she goes home. She's writing more notes, and both of them are in trouble because both of them are not supposed to be running their mouth like that. He took an oath, and so did she. Except she's got him writing. I'm sure he does too. But she gets to thinking, now wait a minute. The ledger was given to me. How do I know that Jack, the senior editor at the Washington Post, didn't set me up? Maybe he knows that my dad is involved in the shadow government. She doesn't know what to do. She takes all of her notes. She takes several days to write her report. And she does have that ledger. How's she going to get out of this? She doesn't want to include her father because she doesn't want the Washington Post to know that her father is involved in the United States shadow government. How embarrassing that would be. She could lose her job. but she has to put it in the report. Maybe she could omit his name, provide the... She doesn't know what to do. So she compiles all of her notes. She's getting ready to walk out the door and ring, ring, ring. Who's on the phone? If you think it's Skylar, it's not. It's Carrie. Hey, how you doing? It's been so long. Where have you been? I mean, geez, what's going on with you? You didn't call me for Christmas. You didn't call me for New Year's Eve. You always did before. You know, I mean, what's going on? I mean, we used to go dance on the... She's like, I'm sorry, Carrie. I'm not trying to cut you off, but I gotta go. The office goes supposed to be. Oh yeah, I see how it is. I see how it is, right? You and your Skylar, yeah, dance with that. What? She hangs the phone. Don't have time for it. Gets all of her things together, gets her report together, gets the ledger together. She races off to the Washington Post. She meets with Jack. She gives Jack a basic synopsis of her investigation, and she also gives the ledger in the case he's setting her up. All right? Just looking over the paperwork. He's like, okay, we're going to review this, myself and some other senior editors, and we'll get back with you. So, for the most part, she's dismissed. She go home, she checks her mail. No letter. Nothing. I mean, it's just air. It's dry. What's going on? I mean, it's been well over a month. She's getting agitated. Then about here it is, January 10th, 2018. She gets a call at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Ring, ring, ring. Hello? It's Skylar. Oh, she's like putty in the hand. She just all broke. Oh, where have you been? Oh, I was so worried about you. He goes, listen, I got some good news and bad news. She's like, what are you talking about? He goes, listen, I am getting out of the service. I am. I'm going to get out of the service. You bet on that, for sure. Okay, what's the bad news? He goes, well, the bad news is while I was on that patrol, and this just happened like 12 hours ago. The guy next to me, the guy I was escorting, he stepped on an IED. And he goes, as much as I hate to say this, he medevaced me out of there along, well, he didn't quite make it, but I did. Anyway, it blew off the right side of my foot. From the ankle down is gone. He said, but don't worry, they got prosthetics and all that stuff, and I'll be dancing. Don't you worry. She's like, what? He's like, listen, it's okay, it's going to be all right. You know, they're going to do some sort of surgery, I'm sure, you know, and they're going to have to amputate a little bit more because it's messy. I'd show you a picture, but you'd probably get sick. He goes, you know, but the good news is I'm alive. We're talking waterfall tears now, buddy. Waterfall tears. He goes, listen, I hate to cut it short, but I gotta go. I gotta go. Hangs up the phone. She immediately calls Thompson. Boom, just that quick. Dad, you're just not gonna believe it. She's talking about Skylar. He's in Afghanistan. He was on special patrol, and then he was doing some sort of armed escort, and the guy next to him stepped on an IED, and then he didn't make it, and here his foot is blown off, and he's like, oh, babe, I don't know what to tell you, you know, and it was just horrible, right? And then Tom says to his daughter, he goes, baby, I hate to cut you short, but I have got to be on a plane. In about 35 minutes, I got to get my ass to the airport. So I hate to cut it short, but you know how it is. He closes his phone. Sky is so distraught. She is so freaking distraught. She puts a call into Carrie because that's her only other friend outside of Skylar and her father. Someone that she can confide in. Somebody that she went dancing with and had fun with and shared time at work and that sort of thing. She puts a call into Carrie. She goes, Carrie, oh, that's just horrible. I mean, and she's talking about what happened to Skylar. And you know what Carrie said to her? Yeah. Carrie said to her, well, it sounds like damaged goods to me. And Sky's like, what are you talking about? She goes, oh, come on. What are you going to do, Sky? Here comes Peter Cottontail hopping on the bunny trail. What are you going to do? Are you going to go up there and you're going to do the hop, are you? Huh? You're going to have like Hopalong Cassidy with a little prosthetic. She's like, oh, I can't believe you're talking to me. Like, hangs up the phone. Just cold, insensitive nonsense, right? January 11th, 2018. Early in the morning, about 7:30. She gets a phone call. It's Jack, the senior editor over at the Washington Post. He says, Sky, it is imperative that you be at the office tomorrow. That would be January 12th. You are not to be late. And you are to be there at precisely 3 p.m. Do not be late. And he's saying it in such a way like she's going to get fired. Like they're going to give her the old pink slip. You know how it is. And he's very short with her and hangs up the phone. So then she starts thinking, oh my God, did they have it wired? I mean, they record all the background noise of those cell phones. Maybe Amdocs heard the conversation between Mr. Shadow Government, her father, and her, and they're both in trouble, right? That's what she's thinking. She doesn't know what to think. Maybe her report is so explosive that they're going to publish it. If they do, the name on the back of the ledger and in the report would be her own father. She doesn't know what to think. She's very, very nervous. So she goes and does a couple of things, goes shopping and that. She doesn't know what to think. It's hard for her to go to sleep, too, that night. So I'll tell you what. Come the 12th, which is tomorrow, she's got to be on time. She finally lays her head down. She gets some sleep. She really needs some sleep. She's got so much stress. She's worried about Skylar, his health. She's worried about her job. She's worried about the report. She's worried about her dad. She's a mess. About 10 o'clock in the morning on the 12th, she wakes up, rolls out of bed, gets some coffee. It's too light out to really turn on the hologram. She's looking at the picture of her and Skylar, and she's kind of thinking about what Carrie did say. I mean, what's going to happen? Is he ever going to be able to dance again? Does it really matter? Well, it should matter, because she really does love him. I don't know what to think. A lot of stress. Well, she gets suited up. She's got to be there sharp, right? Later in the afternoon, she goes to the Washington Post. Jack's there to meet her at the door this time. That's kind of strange. Usually she just goes up to the offices and then he's there. No, he's right there at the front door waiting for her. She doesn't say anything. He's, okay, listen, Sky, we're not going to go to the conference room like we usually go to. We're going to go to the executive conference room. Okay? So I'm going to escort you up there so that way you don't have to go through the stringent security and all that nonsense. She's like, okay. Takes her up the elevator. They go to the executive conference room. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. This is the kind of conference room. It's got a table in there. There are like 25 chairs around this table. The table alone is $35,000. And if anybody has ever seen an executive table in an executive conference room, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They really are $35,000. They're usually about $10,000 to $15,000. This thing's like $35,000 worth of conference table. Something else. And each one of those chairs is like $1,500. You know, they're really skinny and the. Anyway. So she walks in there. Nobody's in there. Just him and her. So they're kind of like moved to the back of the room. He goes, there's going to be a lot of people here, Sky. I hope you're ready. She's like, is there a problem? We'll see. She's getting real nervous now. She's getting so nervous. So they're standing there at the back, and the door opens up. 6 men walk in, and one of the men, she's eyeballing each one of them too. They look like Secret Service, because one of them, the jacket kind of came open when he was walking. She could see a little mini submachine gun in there, right? She's saying, oh my God, what the hell's going on? Those 6 guys come in. Behind those 6 guys comes in the White House Communications Director. She's like, oh my God, I've seen this guy in the news. What the hell is going on? Like on television. Behind him, 2 other guys come in suits. Really nice suits. They're probably with him. They start fanning in the back, and they're starting to fill up that conference room, see? Then 2 doctors walk in. They look like doctors. Maybe they're psychiatrists. She's not really sure. They're wearing the white coats and the pins in the pocket and all this stuff, stethoscope, all that nonsense. 2 of them walk in. Then a couple of orderlies or something of the nature. They're not really doctors, but they're like assistants, and they got the little booties on. And she's like, man, what is going on? And then who walks in next? Tomsk, her dad. Her eyes get about this big around. She'd never seen that. What in the hell is going on now? You got somebody from the White House, you got the Secret Service, you got some doctors, you got some... What is going on? She's kind of like peering through, looking around. Who comes in next? Yet another doctor. And he's pushing Skylar in a wheelchair. She's dumbfounded now. She's like, what is really going on? And his foot's all bandaged up in that. They wheel him in. They park him right about the edge of the conference table. This place is packed now. There's hardly enough chairs for everybody, right? Then some other people pull into the room. They stand against the wall in that. They close the door. The White House Communications Director stands up. All the people kind of fan out of the way. He goes, ladies and gentlemen, everybody in this room is now sworn to secrecy under the United States of America. You will sign this contract. Everything that you see from this point on, you are not to text, you're not to email, you're not to speak to family, friends, nobody, colleagues. If you are caught, you will be prosecuted and you will spend the rest of your days in federal prison. Do I make myself clear? Oh yeah. They get all the paperwork, they lay it out on the table, everybody's got to show their ID, they're making copies and that, everybody's ID. They got all these papers, they're signing, 1, 2, 3, sign here, sign there. She's signing right away. They're all sitting there. That doctor takes Skylar, he's got the wheelchair there, they move some chairs off to the side. They say, ladies and gentlemen, what you're going to witness, you'll never ever see again in your life. Doctor goes over there and he starts taking that bandage off of Skylar's foot, see? And they get that bandage almost all the way off, and Sky notices, wait a minute, Skylar told her that his foot from the ankle down was blown off. But when they're unbandaging it, it's as if the only part that's missing is just the toes. And this doctor opens up a glass jar, and there's a powdery substance that almost looks like grounded bone. And he takes that, and he's got his glove on, and he's sprinkling it just at the area where the toes are missing. He sprinkles this white powder on there, and it almost looks as if somebody took a raw chicken or a piece of steak and dipped it in flour, that the equivalent of. And in real time, the entire room, all of these people are witnessing the actual regeneration of the bone and the flesh growing little toes. There's silence in the room. Silence, buddy. You could hear the wings of a gnat moving. That's how silent it is. And people are seeing in real time the little pinky toe just rejuvenating, and then the toenail is drawing in real time. And within about 40 minutes, his entire foot is right back where it was. They're in shock. They can't believe it. They are in shock. And Sky is like, oh my God. This is impossible. The doctor gets up there and he says, ladies and gentlemen, the United States government, in fact, does have this powder that rejuvenates the human body with fingers, hands, feet, limbs, and we've had it since 1979. The shadow government of this country has some of the most phenomenal medical advances that you could ever dream about. We got it. And this is proof that we got it. That doctor turns to Skylar and says, now Skylar, because essentially you have a brand new foot from the ankle to the end of your toes. It will take about 30 days for you to walk on this, because you're dealing with brand new bone, brand new nerves, brand new cartilage, brand new skin, brand new veins that are trying to get acclimated with the bone that is almost 30 years old of the existing bone and the existing nerves and the existing flesh. You understand? And it is your job to make sure that the transmissions of your nervous system and the nerves in that foot is to go to your brain. So every day you're to try to move your toes, move your ankle, and get that acclimation where it's normal again. Do I make myself clear? And that's an order. Yes, sir. So Skylar is put on a military base, and he's going through his rehabilitation every single day. Sky and Skylar have some sort of communications, sending each other pictures, sending each other texts, talking to each other on the phone about what they're going to do when he gets out, because he's going to get an early discharge. He sure is. He doesn't have to get a medical discharge because he's going to be just back to normal in no time. He sure is. Oh, I tell you what, that's something else, isn't it? Something else. A month goes by. He's discharged from the hospital. It's February 13th. It's the darndest thing. Oh my. She goes and picks him up at the hospital. He walks right out, just like normal. They start doing a little dance right there in the lobby of the hospital. They give each other a big old kiss, big old hug. Oh, I tell you what, it's good times right there, isn't it? Yeah. Whew. They both go back to her house. They spend a lot of time together. Of course, he sees his own folks and such. And after about a week of fully recovering, they talk about getting married and such, because I tell you what, if Sky and Skylar can go through all the stuff they went through, I tell you what, they can make it through everything, right? So Friday comes along and they decide to go out dancing, because that's where they met after all, right? Yep. So they go to the nightclub there, and they Skylar lays down the cover charge and such. They waltz in the door. And who do they see in there? You see Carrie. Carrie's in there. Carrie walks up to both of them and said, I see you brought Peter Cottontail with her. With you. She just kind of like walks away and they walk on down. She's like laughing at him. She's talking to somebody else, pointing, giggling, you know. Then the music starts. And people start dancing on the dance floor, and the DJ following song comes in, and the DJ makes an announcement, says, ladies and gentlemen, if everyone can clear the floor, we have some special dancers, and we'd like to highlight their skills. The music starts. They start tearing up that floor yet again. I'm Monograph, and if you can't speak freely, you're simply not free.